Before we closed out hour number 1, we were talking about Justin Jefferson and what he did for himself running that 4.43 at the combine there in Indianapolis. It was really the only box that he had left to check. And I got asked the question, and please, please, please don't take this as I'm saying, hey, I was right. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But I would try to tell people that came on this show, and Happy can back me up here. They'd say, yeah, but the question mark is the 40. I'm like, hey, guys, I'm telling you. The guy's nickname is Jets, and he has that nickname for a reason. He's going to run fast. You're taking his film and him running option routes at a different pace because that's what you're supposed to do, as that he's not a sprinter. Like, he can't run full speed and leave defensive backs. He can. That's just not what this offense calls for. And so to see him go out there yesterday and for him to do it and to check that box, because everybody I talk to is like, I love the tape. I love this. I love that. I love him. Man coverage. I love him in zone. He knows how to sit where he's supposed to sit. I'm like, I promise you the speed's there. Just wait until you get to Indianapolis, and he showed out yesterday.
So 2 points. One, it just shows you how dumb some of these narratives are. They're not based in fact. They're just based in somebody brought up a point, and everyone started parroting it. So that's the first thing. The other thing, and we talked about his – my favorite part of the Jets 40 was literally – the announcer saying, I don't expect this to be very fast, and couldn't finish his sentence.
Wasn't that glorious?
Couldn't finish his sentence before the 4-4 went up. And then he's like, whoa, I guess I was wrong. I mean, it was perfect. I think we just put a video out from LSU football that Matt Tornquist has been down there. He's been pumping out videos like crazy. Shouts to Matt, who's been crushing the content over there. But it was the perfect contrast of, everyone's talking about how his 40's not going to be good, literally as he's running a 4.4 40. So I love when narratives that are built up and just dumb get blown up in people's faces, and for it to happen literally in the moment, it was just glorious.
And it couldn't happen to somebody better because he has proven so many people wrong. That we know the 2-star recruit. He was wearing a jersey number in the 30s. I don't know if you know, but in football, if they give you a 30 number at receiver, it's not good.
32? Isn't that what he was?
I think it was 32.
And then at some point he was 85, wasn't he?
He went to 85 right before.
In the spring, maybe?
And then Lowell Narcisse decided to transfer, and that's when he got number 2.
And then he picked up 2, yeah. Because I was looking at old clips of him just doing some research and some stuff, and I saw 85, and I could remember him wearing 85. When he showed up, we talked about this during camp last fall. People thought he was a walk-on because he showed up so late, because he was so skinny, he was so small. They thought his locker was with all the walk-ons. So everyone just assumed he was. I think there was even a story that came out this week where someone quoted saying, "Yeah, he was a walk-on when he showed up." He wasn't a walk-on when he showed up. He was on scholarship, but he was just that marginalized because of when he showed up, because of his size, and then to become the most productive receiver in LSU football history.
So I was doing a story with Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South, who's a friend in the show, does a great job for their site. He was doing a profile on Jefferson.
I read that story. It's good.
And he was talking about 2-star recruit, and he's like, a lot of people say it was because of his grades. And I stopped him. I said, hey, Connor, and you know this too, it wasn't because of his grades. How many 5-star recruits have we seen that can't qualify?
Yeah.
They still give those guys 5 stars. How many 4-star, 3-star recruits? That had nothing to do with it. That was a cop-out that they tried to use afterwards because they just didn't evaluate him right, which is okay. Hey, with as many prospects as there is, there's going to be some hits and misses. But don't blame it on the grades, because we've all seen 5-star guys still, not be able to qualify.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case might be academically.
Well, look at his offer sheet. I did this with Joe Burrow, too. If you go look at Joe Burrow's offer sheet coming out of high school, other than Ohio State, which was a very late offer for him, relatively speaking, and he jumped on it and accepted it, his offers weren't the blue blood programs. I think maybe the next best one was maybe West Virginia was in the mix there, but I mean, pull it up. The offers were mostly local schools. I think Cincinnati was in there, mostly kind of these group of 5 type of schools. Jefferson was the same way. I think it was Tulane, ULL, a couple other local schools. He didn't have the Mississippi State or the Auburn. So when you look at their offers, in addition to their stars, that kind of shows you what the evaluations were. And I guess with Jefferson coming out, it was his size. He was 150 pounds, maybe soaking wet coming out. But the route running was there, the speed was there, the hands were there.
I can't believe I've actually never done this. Here is Joe Burrow's offer list coming out of high school. Boston College, Central Michigan, Cincinnati, East Carolina, Fresno State, Iowa State, Maryland, Ohio, Toledo, Vandy, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Western Michigan.
And a lot of those offers came after he committed to Ohio State. But before that, there was a stretch going into after his junior year of high school. Ohio, where his dad was the defensive coordinator, was his only offer. And if you go back and look at some of his tape, you can kind of see it. I was talking about this morning with somebody. You can kind of see why he didn't have the elite offers. Like, the competition he was playing against in Southeast Ohio wasn't great. It wasn't the elite football competition.
Right.
His release was maybe a little slow. He wasn't the fastest, most athletic guy. He didn't have the biggest arms. So you could kind of see how a talent evaluator would look at him and say, yeah, he's not 5-star, 4-star kid. But all the intangible stuff there, and this is a theme with this team from Clyde to Justin to Joe, they had the foundation. They had the foundation of they had high character, they had a chip on their shoulder, and it's almost like when you get an elite talent, when you get a guy that's just got a cannon for an arm, right? He's lived with that cannon of an arm his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And so he hasn't had to have the character. Now, some guys might. He hasn't had to have the show up at 6 a.m. work ethic. He hasn't had to have the great grades. He hasn't had to be pinpoint accurate.
He hasn't had to watch a lot of film because his arms always got him out of trouble.
Yeah, and so all these guys that are coming out this year for LSU and that were the foundation of this national championship team had those quote-unquote flaws that they had to make up for, and it developed the intangible stuff that no one else has to that level. Other guys have this mix of intangibles. LSU's guys, Joe, Clyde, Justin, Damian Lewis, Lloyd Cushenberry, all these guys. I'm going to leave guys out, obviously. Can't name them all. They all have those things. And then they all got together in the same program and mingled for a year or two. And so it just was kind of this perfect storm for them both at the college level, but now coming out of the draft, I promise you, after this combine's over, the coaches over at LSU, they're going to get calls from the NFL and say, we can't believe how incredible your guys are, not just as performers, but as individuals. Yeah. I mean, they're going to blow the doors off of people. And so that's, if you're an LSU fan, you should really be proud of that.
Yeah, we saw that from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Multiple people that I know in this business who have no ties to LSU, Louisiana, or anything. I got a ton of messages saying, hey, Clyde, just wanted to let you know at the Combine crushed it. He was the best guy on the podium. And that I got at least 7 of them.
Someone tweeted that, right? Someone tweeted that this is the best interview I've seen all year. So the story behind that I've told a couple times already is when Tom Rinaldi was here from ESPN before the national championship game, Tom was going to come on the podcast with me, and he had to interview Clyde before. He finished with Clyde. He comes out, and he looks around, and Herb Street's over there, and I think Brandon Barrio was over there, and a couple of people over there, and he's like, that's the best football interview I've ever done, period. Think about all the people Tom Rinaldi has talked to. He just followed Roger Federer around for a month and spent a month with Roger Federer, like the most world-class elite athlete that you can think of. And he walked out of an interview with Clyde Edwards-Helaire with his mind blown at the points that he was making. So that's the type of guy that you're getting.
I believe him, too. When we were doing the film rooms and we did multiple over the year, well, Clyde was the first one we did, and it's supposed to be basically like 3 minutes, like maximum, because it goes on social media. You want to keep the attention there. And we looked up, and we were talking, and it was 57 minutes in. And I was like, hey, good luck cutting this, whoever's doing this.
3 to 57?
We were 57 minutes in. We were talking film, going over tape. And that's the day that I always appreciated the way Clyde went about his business. But that was the day that I learned just who he was as a worker and how his football IQ was really above everybody else's at that position in college football. I mean, I learned a lot that day from Clyde.
So same day, no, it was a different day, actually. Herb Street came and talked to Joe, and they went on for like 2 hours. They were supposed to do an hour, and Joe is usually the type, because he got so much media attention, he would want to kind of cut it off and get back to work. But he was having so much fun talking ball with Herb Street that they talked forever and ever. They get done talking, and Herb Street turns to me. He's like, that's the smartest quarterback I've ever been around. Smarter than Peyton Manning coming out of college. Smarter than anybody. Andrew Luck. Smartest quarterback I've ever seen. And then they had talked about a specific play. It was Thad Moss's touchdown in the Peach Bowl, the one where the catch and run. And Joe said that was his favorite play all year because they had worked on it so many times. A couple of days before, Thad had talked to me about that play and broke it down in excruciating detail, and it showed me how smart he was. And so I told that to Herb Street. He said, this is the smartest football team I've ever been around. Not only are they talented, they're so smart. Like, they're the smartest team I've ever been around. I'm realizing as I'm saying this that I came on to pump sunshine about basketball, and I'm still pumping sunshine about football when there's no need to pump sunshine. So I'll stop. But I get excited about it at this time of year with these guys going to the combine because there's so many there. But they're such a good group and a special group, and it makes me proud. Like not just working for LSU, but having gone to LSU. That's who's representing us out there. It's awesome.
I was blown away with the 3 film sessions we did with all the guys, and Thaddeus Moss was one of them. Jacoby Stevens, who's still on this football team, was one of them. I can't wait to see what he ends up doing this year in Bo Pelini's system. Okay, we do have to take a break, but before we do, because it's only going to take a couple seconds, Justin Jefferson's offer list. LSU, Nicholls State, Northwestern, Tulane.
Go Colonels, baby.
That's it. Told you it wasn't going to take long.